Flying VFR at night can be beautiful and peaceful, offering views that are only possible in the darkness. If you've ever flown a small airplane VFR at night, you might have enjoyed seeing the city lights twinkling on the ground, or watching the fireworks on the 4th of July, or the flash of lightning in a distant thunderstorm. But flying VFR at night also carries significant additional risks compared to flying VFR during the day. These include flying into obstacles or terrain, which can include bodies of water, cell towers, mountains, neighborhoods, power lines, or industrial areas. Flying into the clouds, which can be extremely difficult to see at night until it's too late. Loss of aircraft control due to the lack of a discernible visual horizon, which can occur when flying over open water at night. Landing at the wrong airport or on the wrong runway at the right airport. Poor pilot performance due to the darkness and fatigue. You don't have to be instrument rated to take advantage of the same information, tools, and services that IFR pilots use to stay safe when flying in the clouds or at night. These skills can be extremely useful for VFR pilots during the winter months when the sun sets early and you might find yourself searching for your airport in the dark. Even a student pilot flying a minimally equipped airplane on a clear day can benefit from some of these IFR hacks. You just have to know where to find the information and how to use it.
Hey guys, so it's actually 10 o'clock in the morning, but on the simulator it's about 10 o'clock at night. And I'm going to demonstrate to you how you can use the equipment in your airplane and instrument procedures to help yourself stay safe when flying VFR at night. So now, full disclosure, I haven't actually flown VFR at night in a long time, and I don't think I've actually practiced it on the sim in a long time, so this is going to be kind of neat for me to reorient myself to what it's like to fly at night. So we're sitting here at Craig in a Cessna 172 that's equipped similar to our aircraft. I've got a GTN 650 IFR GPS. Now in our airplanes we have the dual Garmin G5s. On the Elite basic aviation training device that we have here, there's a similar setup that has a HSI and attitude information, the AHRS. So this is more or less what it looks like in our airplane, and then you've got backup instruments over here. So I'm getting ready to take off on runway 5, and what I'm going to do is fly a heading after departure of approximately 120 degrees to head toward the beach. And I'm going to pretend like I'm just going out for, to cruise the beach line, cruise the shore in the evening, make a nice VFR flight. And then I'm going to use an instrument approach to runway 32 at Craig to help myself get oriented to come back to the airport. So the scenario here is that I'm just your average, everyday, non-instrument rated VFR pilot, but I've learned enough about how to use the equipment in my airplane to my advantage in this situation. So up here on my iPad, I've got the departure, obstacle departure procedure for Craig loaded. And I can see that for runway 5, which is the runway I'm set up for to depart here at Craig, it says I should climb via a heading of 051 degrees to 500 feet before proceeding on course. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to fly to runway heading basically to 500 feet before I make my right turn to a heading of 120 degrees. And I'm going to climb up to about 2,000 feet today, so I'm going to go ahead and set that in my altitude bug. And I've got my runway heading set. Okay, so here we go. Now notice one thing here already as I'm taking off, right? I don't have any discernible horizon. So already here on the sim, I'm pitching up 10 degrees, which is the same thing I would do if I was IFR. I'm pretending like I'm IFR right now. Now, in the real airplane, I could look out my periphery and have a better view than I do on the sim here. But I'm just more or less pitching for VY. And I'm watching my altimeter, I'm maintaining the runway heading, and I'm going to hold that until I'm at 500 feet, and then I'm going to start a right turn to my heading of, let's say, 120 degrees to head out toward the beach. And then we'll level off at 2,000 feet, and we'll see what that looks like. So there's my 500 feet. I'm going to set my heading bug, and I'm going to start a nice gentle right turn. I can see on the sim there's some stars out. Maybe a couple scattered clouds. All right, so that's level flight. Now, as you can see, there's some city lights over there along the towns along the shoreline. If I make a gentle little Left turn here also, you can see there's some more lights, but I'm on a heading of 120 degrees now, almost over the beach, and you can see straight ahead, it's just black. There's no horizon, there's nothing. So that's a little weird. Okay, I'm going to make a right turn now to follow the beach, the intercoastal waterway basically. I will fly heading south. So level at 2,000 feet here, make a little gentle right turn. We'll see what that looks like at night. So that looks a little more normal, right? I can see some stuff. You can see the software is painting some puffy clouds over there. I selected clear, but looks like there's some little puffy clouds over there. We're on a heading south. I can see the beach line right there. Here's some roads, but could be a little disorienting. But let's say I'm flying around and feeling like, all right, I want to head back toward the airport. GPS says it's behind me and a little to my right. So I'm going to just head toward the needle on the GPS, the direct to course, and let's see if I can find the airport. So I'm just going to turn myself all the way around and see if I can find it. A bunch of bright lights. That could be downtown Jacksonville right there to the west, because I'm on a heading west, so that's probably downtown. Okay, and I do see some blinking lights over there. So that's probably the airport straight ahead. But let's say I was having trouble finding the runway. So let's go back over to the east. So I'm going to make another right turn. Also could be confusing because as I make my right turn, I also see some blinky lights over there. That's Mayport. And we're going to load up the RNAV approach to runway 32 at Craig. And I want to show you guys how we could use the display to make it a little easier to find the runway in that situation. Home, procedure, approach, and I'm going to select the RNAV approach to runway 32 with vectors to final, load approach, and activate. And so what that does for me now is it gives me course guidance toward the runway. It gives me my distance from the final approach fix. Now, if you're not an instrument-rated pilot, you wouldn't know what that means, okay? You may not understand what the significance is of a final approach fix or what to do about that. But if I zoom out on the map, okay, I see a series of lines that are all directed toward the runway in a very precise manner. And what I can do visually by looking at the map and also looking at my screen here is simply set myself up on a downwind. So I could make a right turn to a heading of 140, because I know that, okay, when I'm in the traffic pattern for runway 32 on a calm wind day, on the downwind I should be flying a heading of 140 degrees. So let's just start there. Now I can make a right turn, as I would, to join the base. And I've got course guidance toward that on my HSI. I could also correlate that with what I see on the map. So I'm just going to make a gentle right turn here to a heading of 230 degrees. And what you'll see, both on the moving map and on your HSI, is that the pink line, which is the extended runway center line, you are going toward it. So on the HSI, there's a pink line that's in front of you. You're going toward it. And on the moving map, you see a pink line and you're flying toward it. So as you approach the line on the map, this line on your HSI should come towards center, and that's a good indication that you should start turning to the right to join the final approach course. So now that pink line is moving toward me, so I'm going to start making a right turn toward 320 degrees. And don't worry if you undershoot it or overshoot it. Just do your best to get it in the ballpark. See there, while I was explaining things to you, I overshot a little bit. That's okay. All you have to do is just turn that back then a little bit more to the right to get aligned with the center line. That's fine. The other thing you're going to see is this glide slope. There's a little G here and a little magenta dot. That's an indication that you're approaching the glide slope that's going to give you obstacle clearance toward the runway. So I'm just making a little correction for my heading to get back on course. And now I can see that that little magenta diamond is starting to come down to the middle. And if you look straight ahead, I know it's probably really hard to see on the video screen, but I'm looking out the window at the runway and I can see 2 white and 2 red lights. That indicates that I'm on a good glide path toward the runway. So at this point, I could reduce my power and start a descent, and I can correlate what I see out the window with what I see on my display. As long as that pink dot stays in the middle, I should be on that visual glide path. And of course, we want to spend most of our time looking out the window, but if ever at night you get a little disoriented and you're not sure, okay, am I too high, am I too low? Am I really seeing the lights correctly? Is that really my runway? This is going to give you a little more confidence that you're doing the right thing. So again, nothing fancy here. I'm mostly looking out the window, and I'm just using this for confirmation that I'm doing the right thing.
So we've completed our run-up here at Craig. We're in November 99725. We're getting ready to do this night flight. The first thing I'm going to do is review the obstacle departure procedure in ForeFlight here. So I've got Craig Airport loaded up. I can hit procedure, departure, takeoff minimums. And right there, if I zoom in to see what, if any, guidance there is for departing on runway 32, I'll follow it. As it turns out, there isn't any guidance for taking off on runway 32, only if you're taking off on runway 235 or 14. There's just a note about some trees beyond the end of the runway, but we pretty much know what's out there. So there's no departure procedure to follow for runway 32 here at Craig, but it's always a good idea to check it because if there is an obstacle, you want some guidance on how to avoid it. So we're going to depart to the north. We're going to be keeping track of our runway distance used on the takeoff roll by looking at the runway centerline stripes and or the the runway edge lights to see how much runway we've used. And then as we climb, we're going to be pitching for 10 degrees nose up, which should give us approximately VY. So we'll be checking for that as we climb out. Okay. So we're on tower. I'll go ahead and put on the strobes, and then as we depart, we'll put on the landing light. And there's a plane next to us. Craig Tower, Cessna 99725, holding short of 32.
Tower 99725, Craig Tower, runway 32 at Echo. Proceed on course, clear for takeoff.
32 at Echo, cleared for takeoff, Cessna 99725. All right, runway is clear. Here we go. We're making takeoff power. Airspeed's coming alive. Engine gauges are in the green. There's 400 feet. I've got my 40 knots. And we're airborne before the abort point. Now I'm establishing a pitch attitude of approximately 10 degrees, which should get me close to my VY. I can see that's almost right on the money in this airplane, flying the runway heading.
And at this point, I can see the horizon fairly well. And it's
Tower 906 Juliet Romeo holding
fairly light out still. It's not super dark. But it's dark enough for me that that takeoff was a little strange, I'll be honest, since I don't fly a whole lot at night.
Cessna 906 Juliet Romeo, correct tower, runway 32, turn right heading 100, clear for
Looks like there could be another airplane over there. I see a light that's up high, but I don't know if it's an airplane yet or not. All right, we're at 800 feet. I'm gonna check right for traffic.
6 Juliet Romeo Tower.
Now my normal visual cues for where the gap is and the bridge, I can't see any of that right now, so I'm gonna zoom in on my GPS here for a little help. But yeah, there's a little bridge down here that we would normally aim for to be in the gap between Mayport Naval Air Station's airspace and Jacksonville's Class Charlie. And can't really see that little bridge at night. So definitely relying a little bit more on the GPS. And notice the difference between what it looks like facing west off to our left right now, where there's still a little bit of light, there's lots of city lights. You can kind of tell what's happening out there, versus to the right, where we've got the Naval Air Station and then a whole lot of nothing as you look out over to the open ocean. Very different view on both sides of the airplane.
6 Romeo head 100, can I check departure?
100 on the heading and then contact departure.
But I can see straight ahead the Amelia Island and all the lights of the houses and hotels that are along the beachfront. There's a nice crisp line there where you could tell where the beach would be. But if it weren't for those lights, there'd be really no way to tell where the land mass ends and the ocean begins. It would just be a big nothing. Now, just like when you're flying IFR, okay, if you're an IMC and you're thinking about where would I land this airplane if I had an engine problem right this minute? Well, you have to look at your sectional, you have to know what's below you and kind of pick the best option. I'm remembering that now because as I'm flying here at night, looking down for the little fields and things that I know by heart, I know where I would land the airplane during the day. I'm familiar with those things. I can't see those things right now. So it's kind of like, to me, the same experience I would have if I were in a cloud right now and I was forced to pick someplace to land below me at the last minute. You kind of can't really see it. You have to just slow the airplane down and aim for the emptiest spot you can find and hope for the best. This is very different. Like, I know there's dirt roads and stuff off to my left, but I can't see them. I know there's a field below me right now, but I can't see it. There's boats that are out on the water right now. I see a group of 3 together, and then there's one a little over that way. I don't know if the camera will even pick it up. I can kind of sort of see the horizon if I focus, and I'm not sure if that's because there's still just enough daylight for me to make it out, but I can kind of sort of see where the horizon is right now over the ocean. But those the lights of those boats could be very deceiving. You could think, oh, is that, you know, something on the land, or is it another airplane? Again, over the ocean, there's not much of a horizon, so I am cheating on the Garmin G5 here just a little bit until I get a clearer visual picture to the west where there's still a little bit of light. But even then, I'm finding that in the darkness here, I'm kind of looking outside, but glancing at my attitude indicator on the G5 way more than I would be during the day. During the day, you could just cover that thing up or turn it off and it wouldn't matter. But at night, it's definitely different. You need that little bit of help just to make sure you keep everything straight where it needs to be.
Break tower information, Mike, time 2253 Zulu weather. Wind 280 at 4, visibility 10, sky condition clear. Temperature 17, dew point 05, altimeter 3005, visual approach runway 32 in use.
I'll be totally honest, I can't see the airport now. I see where the golf course is, and I see kind of where the airport should be, but I don't see the airport itself.
04 Alpha and 20 connect Jack's departure.
Now I've got direct to the airport loaded in the GPS, which is good, so I can use that to help me see where it should be. Let me call up tower now. Craig Tower, Cessna 99725 is 8 to the north. I've got Mike now inbound for a pattern work.
Cessna 99725, Craig Tower, and a right downwind 32, report midfield.
And a right downwind for 32, report midfield 99725. So again, I'm kind of using the GPS still a little bit here to find my way through the airspace because I do not see that little bridge that I'm so used to using during the day. Everything just looks completely different. So we're 5 miles from the airport, according to the Garmin 650. And I see the Dames Point Bridge. I see where the airport should be. I do not see the beacon. Dana, you let me know if you see the beacon. Oh, I think I see it. White, green, right over there. White, green,
yep.
Maybe. But I don't see the runway.
No, you can't see the runway lights from here. I can see runway 23, but that's just because I know where to look.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'd never see it. Unless you got really lucky. I can't see the 1432 lights at all.
So for right now, I'm just going to keep using my GPS to go direct to the airport.
For the downwind from them as you depart. That last call for Charlie Papa. Charlie Papa, affirmative. Traffic ahead and slightly to your right. They're descending at a 1,500 feet to the south into the rivers of Cessna inbound to the airport.
Insight 860 Charlie Papa, thanks.
And it's a 972 on me, correct time.
971 Romeo 8 south inbound.
All right, I'm just making out the runway lights now. I see where the intersection of the runway is. But now I'm going to load the visual approach to runway 32. Now that I kind of have the middle of the airport in my sights, I don't quite have the where my downwind should be. So I'm going to load visual 32, activate. And that's going to give me some guidance over here as to where my downwind should be because you can see where the final approach is. So that'll help me line up for the downwind. I'm kind of on a 45-degree angle to the downwind right now, if you can visualize that. But this helps me orient myself to like a 45 to the downwind. And now I see the runway, so I'm gonna turn left and join the downwind. I see some lights way out there. I don't know if that's somebody on final.
That's the guy that just called in on the visual.
Craig Tower, Cessna 7370 Victor, hold charter runway 32 Echo and ready for departure.
7370 Victor, Craig Tower, runway 32, make right.
I'm going to have Tony turn the lights up on short, on final, because it's not going to show up here.
Right close traffic, downwind 7370 Victor.
Craig Tower 99725, a beam of the numbers 32 for stop and go.
Cessna 75 unable to stop and go unless you want to extend to follow the Cessna on the 4 mile straight in.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we'll extend 725.
725, roger, extend down to follow that Cessna.
We'll extend the downwind 725.
Bonanza 21 Romeo, from where you're at, can you go direct to runway 5?
And so now if you look at the GTN 650 here, that pink line is the extended final approach course. Right there. So that's kind of cool. That'll help me keep track of where I'm at in relation to the final. I'm looking out the back window and I still see the airport, but at this point it gets a little tricky to keep track of the downwind. I see some bright lights straight ahead, so I'm going to aim for that just like I would aim for an object during the day. But this helps you really keep track of where your extended center line is.
Cessna 75, follow the Cessna approaching off your right side there. Number 2, runway 32, cleared, stop and go. Minimum time of the runway for traffic inbound from the west to follow you.
Okay, we have that traffic in sight. We're turning base, cleared, stop and go 32, 99725.
All right, so just like if I was flying IFR, I can kind of give myself a heading to fly on the base, and I can also find an object out the window just like I would do during the day. So I see some really bright lights out there. I don't know what the heck it is. I'm gonna aim for those really bright lights.
73 is midfield.
Hopefully I can find them again after I turn here. Whatever that is right there, those bright lights. And now I should be able to see when I intercept my final approach course. So let me look out the window.
Inside, West 783.
Don't follow that set. So
Where's the runway? All right, I see it.
Turn, number 3, runway 32, clear to land.
All right, 32, clear to land, number 3, we'll square it up.
So just like joining the localizer, if I'm landing IFR, I can see now that my final approach course is coming up to the center. I can see that I'm intercepting that pink line. Now I can look out the window and say, yes, I see my runway. Now, the Garmin 650, along with the Garmin G5, is giving me a glide slope to follow, just like if I were on an instrument approach. And it's showing I'm a little low, and I can see that's true looking out the window. I am seeing, I think, one white and 3 reds, so I'm going to add a little power. Get back on a nice glide slope here.
If you turn left at Foxtrot, can you make the left turn really
do a little
tight,
pre-landing flow check here. Mixture is still full rich.
Make that left turn there.
So now as I'm intercepting the visual glide slope, I'm going to treat this just like an instrument approach. I'm going to reduce my power to 1700 RPM. I'm going to just try and use that electronic glide slope in addition to the visual to help confirm that I'm on a nice stabilized approach to the runway. Grabbing a little bit to the left here. We're in the white arc. I'm going to put in 10 degrees of flaps.
Craig Tower, crew track 453 over deep forest, descending at 3,000 feet. Information, Mike, inbound full stop.
Track 453, Craig Tower, enter strand approach.
So I have way more experience flying IFR than flying VFR at night, and I'm kind of using that to my advantage right now. Like, okay, this all looks and feels pretty normal. I'm on a glide slope. I like my airspeed. There's the runway. So this all looks pretty normal to me. I'm on a nice obstacle-free glide path as long as I see 2 whites and 2 reds out the window, and as long as I stay on that electronic glide slope, I should be okay.
32, turn left at Alpha 3, altitude of Alpha ground plane.
Now I asked the tower for a stop and go. This may end up being a full stop taxi back, whatever, that's fine. I'm just going to try and make a nice landing. We're still on
Tower
the glide
9
path.
725 for training purposes. Can you turn the runway lights for 32 all the way up?
Ah, that's bright. I don't know if that's going to help my landing, but I can definitely see the runway better. All right, now I have the runway numbers in sight, okay? So this is where I'm going to try and just fly it, fly it, fly it.
You're at 453, do you have the Cessna heading to your right there, turning off the right base? Off the downwind to the base?
Oh, that was bad. I landed flat.
For track 453, Craig Tower. 453, go ahead. 46, traffic 12 o'clock, mile and a half, Cessna, 900 feet.
All right, we're going to exit the runway here.
Yeah, the traffic is in sight for 453.
Therefore, you have to go through final to follow the Cessna's approved. Just let me know when you're 2 miles out for runway 32.
Okay, if we have to go through final, we'll let you know we're 2 miles out. We'll keep that traffic in sight.
And now trying to find the middle of the taxiway.
Tower 9 725, we're going to be full stop taxi back.
75, turn left there, hold short of Alpha, contact ground plane 8.
9 725.
I'm sorry. What time is it? I can find out. 6:26. Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to do one more and then.
Okay.
So it's a lot darker now than it was before. I'm still using my attitude indicator to get to VY while I sort out the horizon here. And we're back on the downwind at 1,000 feet. All right. Craig Tower 99725 midfield 32, full stop.
Cessna 725, you have the Cessna heading to your right there, turning off the base to final.
We have that traffic inside 725.
If I follow that traffic, number 232, clear to land.
Clear to land 32, number 2, 99725. I don't have a super good visual on an object for turning base, so again, I'm going to treat this like an instrument approach here. So that would be my base if I was on an ILS. And, yep, there's the runway.
Ready at holding short at Echo for closed traffic.
I like my speed. I've got that a little
More sorted out this time. I'm at my DMMS, my 70 knots, with my 10 degrees of flaps. And I totally see my final approach course visually now, so I don't need to use this thing, but that is a nice little trick. All right, so this time I'm much higher, but that's fine. I'm not super high. I'm at 600 feet turning final in the normal place. Now I do know I can see where the tree line ends and where the shopping center begins, and that's a familiar landmark, so that I can see easily at night just because all of that stuff is lit. So I'm a bit high on the electronic glide slope and out the window, but this looks pretty good. I'm at 70 knots, nice and stabilized. I'm going to go ahead and put a little more flaps this time just to help me with that landing.
Monkey 327, reduce your speed.
All right, I'm on the glide slope now, right where I want it to be. An airplane, I promise I'll try and be nicer to your nose wheel this time. All right, I like my speed. I like my glide path. This looks pretty decent.
Victor, follow the Cessna off your right side there, joining the pattern.
And I've got the runway numbers in sight.
The Cessna in here, the north end, 70 Victor.
All right, so I'm gonna just keep looking at the end. I'm flying, but I'm gonna hold that nose off just a little more, make it look like it's touching the end of the runway. Not super straight, but at least I didn't hit the nose wheel.
Runway 32, 24 whiskey.
Well, that shows you what not flying at night for a long time does too. That is pretty hard.
Correct tower, Skyhawk A14 Mike Victor's midfield for 32, right downwind.
Ready, Golf Charlie, runway 32, make right close traffic, report midfield on the downwind, don't start your crosswind turn until you reach 1,000 feet, clear for takeoff.
But I didn't kill my husband or break the airplane, so I'll take it.
Golf Charlie.
I'm not even bruised.
Right traffic, don't crosswind until 1,000 feet.
And I still love you.
Thank you. Even this is weird. Where's the middle of the taxiway? It's that
Look
yellow
at the
light.
stripe. Use the stripe.
Oh, I see it now. I lost the stripe there for a minute.
I need you to point the propeller at the runway. Make a left turn, go direct to the runway.